Okay, hello again. Another video. This time I want to make 2 points or talk about 2 different things. One is, you may not think so, but you already know how to read tarot cards, and I'm going to explain how. And the second part is going to be about, people do freeform readings, so they just pick a card at random and talk about it and put a story together. And I'm going to say, or I want to say that this is usually a bad idea, and I'm going to give an example and explain why I think so. So those are the 2 parts. I'm thinking as well that I might transcribe this and turn it into an article, so because I'm going to leave out an awful lot, but I'd be able to put it in an article. So if you're interested in reading it, send me an email, bllntr@yahoo.com, and I'll let you know when it's done. Okay, so if you've ever taken foreign languages in high school, let's say you're learning how to speak French. So you have to learn vocabulary. Okay, this is a pen, right? But it's le stylo, right? So you can't say it le pen, it's le stylo. And also, this is a notebook, okay? Le cahier. So you end up in French with kind of artificial sentences, so that you might learn how to say, le cahier de ma mère est sous la table, which means my mother's notebook is under the table, right? But you end up with sentences and expressions you would never really use unless a French person says to you, do you know where your mother's notebook is? And it happens to be under the table, in which case you would use a sentence like that. But most of the time, a lot of the examples they give in these high school French books and other languages are kind of artificial and fake. So, in the same way, you can pick a card, and there's the 7 of Pentacles, right? So you look at it and think, what does it mean? And you put the card down and you go and look in a book and you read, for instance, that hard work or perseverance will bring its reward, okay? But then you've got an actual question to answer, and sometimes it's very difficult to fit the meanings in a book to make it a real answer to a real question. So I'm saying you know how to read cards already. So if I say to you, for instance, that George, whoever George is, George wanted to do this, but his heart wasn't in it, right? You know that his heart, it's not that he'd taken his heart and put it somewhere. You know that his heart wasn't in it. He didn't have the courage, he didn't have the confidence, he didn't have the enthusiasm to do whatever he thought he wanted to do. And that's because his heart wasn't in it. So we know that the heart represents enthusiasm and courage and strength and so on. So, so let's say somebody wants to know, what can I do to have a better relationship with my husband, wife, child? And you pick the 7 of Pentacles, right? So you look at the card, and immediately you stop looking at the card, and that's a mistake. But you look in a book and you read, perseverance will bring its own reward, or hard work will pay off. So what can you do to improve your relationship with your, let's say, your child? And you, the reader, say, well, work hard at it. And it's kind of artificial because you look at the card. So we've got the person here, right? They've chosen 1 pentacle, but there's 6 more here. So the person says, what can I do to improve the relationship? And you say, you can do nothing. Do nothing, because this is a card of pause, right? You're pausing, you're waiting, you're thinking, you're resting between moves, right? Because you've got 1, but you have 6 others to do. So the advice to the questioner is, don't do anything. Think through what it is that you want. So you've already had some experience with the person, and you don't like what you've got maybe, but you chose it, or you contributed to a bad relationship between you and your son, let's say. Okay, so the thing, what do? You think what you want next, because you get 6 coins. This could be, you could have more arguments or fights, or you could go to the movies together, or you could have a nice dinner, each represented by 1 of the 6 coins. So what do? You think about what it is that you're looking for, what it is that you want. And then once you've decided what direction you want to go in, you figure out how to get there, or what's going to be required to get there. And this is all from looking at the picture and understanding what the picture shows, and what it's good for, let's say, or what it's telling you to do, or what it's suggesting, and then relating the meaning of the picture, or what's shown in the picture, to the question. Okay, so that's why I think we can all read cards. And this is what the course is about, because I sort of explain and describe and talk about cards that way, rather than try and give you like a list of meanings about what a particular card means, because it's very difficult to fit somebody else's answer to a real question. So the other thing is freeform reading. Should you know in advance this is the past, present, future, or this is you, and this is your son, and this is how the solution to the problem that you've got, or do you just have the person sitting in there and you shuffle and you pick a card at random and just start talking, which a lot of people do. And I think maybe it works 1 in 100 times, but I think most of the time, from what I've heard anyway, it's kind of off. So the example that I heard in an internet radio show, there was a woman, her father and a friend, a male, were going on holiday together, but they were sort of at each other and not getting on with each other. So the woman wanted to know what was going to happen between the father and the friend on the vacation that they were taking. So a psychic, not particularly a tarot reader, she said, okay, first card she got was the King of Swords. And she said, okay, your father's a fine, upstanding, hardworking, respectable individual. Second card is Temperance, and this card is all about managing relationships. And the third card is the Seven of Swords. And this is a card of deceit. So what's going to happen is the father's friend is not going to be completely honest with the father, but because the father is a fine, upstanding individual, he's going to be able to handle it, and so it's going to be okay. Right? And we can all, I think, even beginners can understand why the reader came up with that particular story. The only thing is, well, there's two things. One is, first card's the King of Swords. Why is that the father? It could, maybe the King of Swords describes the father's friend, because the father's friend was a man about the same age. Or maybe this first card describes the nature of the problem. They both want to be the king. They both want to be in charge and make the decisions. But if I want to stay home and you want to go out, then either I go out and I'm miserable because I don't want to go out, or you stay home and you're miserable because you don't want to stay home. So when both of us want to be in charge, like the King of Swords, and we're going in different directions, then there's going to be conflict between us, or somebody's going to be unhappy. Right? So this King of Swords could describe the fact that both the father and the friend want to be top dog. They want to be in charge, they want to be in control, and they want to be the one making the decision about what's going to happen and where they're going to go. And it's not going to work because they can't both be in charge. And so I think doing a free-form reading and just picking a card and talking about it, maybe it'll work, but I think a lot of times it doesn't work because, for whatever reason, I don't think it works that well. Whereas we could have decided, okay, I'm going to pick one card up for the father, one for the friend, and one for how they're going to get along with each other. So let's say you pick the first card and say, that's the King of Swords. Okay, that's your father. He likes to be in charge. This is the friend, a Temperance card. Okay, that's a major trump and it's upright. And the Temperance is partly about, if you temper metal, you burn off impurities and it becomes stronger. So it looks like the friend in some ways is in better shape than the father. Because the father wants what he wants his own way, King of Swords. Whereas the friend is more interested in, let's say, developing a relationship or improving or making something stronger. Right? And what's the solution? There is no solution. Seven of Swords. And the fact that this card is swords and the first card representing the father is swords as well. It may be that we would say that the deception, let's say, of the Seven of Swords is from or because of the father, because he's also the king, he's also the same suit of swords. So the friend, in some ways, is the most mature, let's say, or the most enlightened of the two people involved. So I think that this is the kind of problem you run into if you just pick a card at random and start talking about it, because you don't have a context. So you don't know really if you're talking about the questioner or the solution or what's getting in the way or anything like that. Whereas if you decide beforehand, I want to know what are you like, what's the other person like, and what can be done to let's say to improve the relationship between you, or what should you stop doing that's maybe getting on the other person's nerves. Because I think, generally speaking, I think a reading ought to enlighten the mind of the questioner. So you don't just want to say, okay, your father's a fine, upstanding fellow, his friend isn't that honest, but it's going to be okay because the father will take care of it. So how does that help the daughter to understand what's going on with the father, what she can maybe do to help him improve, or what can she point out to the father or the friend that will make for a better relationship between them? The story that the psychic gave really doesn't help, I don't think. Whereas if we, and I think that's important, that when you do a reading for somebody, you ought to, the person ought to go away not just knowing the answer, but being better able to handle the situation, or to handle more intelligently a similar situation if one's going to come up in the future. Because things tend to repeat, and things don't happen just once. They sort of come back, and we go through the same kind of experience more than once. So if you can show somebody how to handle or deal with or get learning out of a situation, I think you've done them a lot of good. Because when that similar situation comes up again, they're going to handle it better. And if there are going to be problems, the problems won't be as bad, or they won't be as difficult to solve as they would have been if you hadn't told them something of interest about let's say, a situation and how best to deal with it. So that's kind of it. If you're interested in the course, this is the plug here, and if you're thinking about it and you want to talk to me, send me your telephone number in an email, and we'll arrange a time and I'll call you. And maybe I could, and the other thing is, if you've got questions, by all means send me an email, and I'll either write a reply or I'll record an answer and email it to you as an MP3 file. Or if you want to talk to me, I'm always happy to talk. You probably know from the videos how enthusiastic I am about the tarot. So I'm always happy to talk to anybody who is, they've got a serious interest in the tarot and they want to do good things with it and to sort of fine-tune themselves. So that's it for the moment. Thank you very much for watching, and there'll be another one. I don't know what it'll be about, but don't know. Check your inbox, and there'll be another video. Thank you very much.